Kwe miigwech. Nakuma hawe kchiha kchen shnabe kwe kagi pakanan gwe nogam gagi jigak. Gawi mawet shidyak. So I'd like to thank Shnabe Kwe, Elder Rose Wawati Boudouin, for the opening of this session, Special Chiefs Assembly, for the Assembly of First Nations, as well as the elections that will be taking place for National Chief during the Assembly. At this point, I would like to call upon our host officials. So I'd like to call upon Kitigan Zibi Chief Dylan White Duck to come up. And I believe Chief White Duck was standing by nearby. I'd like to have Chief White Duck come up and provide his opening comments. I do know Chief White Duck was very close nearby. There he comes.
Kakana, Meno Shiba. Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I'm not going to wing it this time. I think I mentioned I winged it last year, so I'm going to be more prepared this time and do a quick 5-minute opening for everyone here today. I want to extend my gratitude to the Creator, to the Eagle River Drum, the drum group, Elder Rose Boudouin, for guiding us with this opening prayer. I also want to extend an acknowledgement to my family, my council, I know a few are here today, my community members, and all the chiefs, councillors, and proxies who have traveled here for this significant week. It is also important to acknowledge our elders here, the veterans, the regional chiefs, and our interim national chief, Bedard. And I finally want to give a little bit of appreciation to the Shaw Center team, especially the housemen. Just want to give you a quick little tidbit here is, quick little reference. I used to work in this building from 2011 till about 2014. And all these chairs and all these tables and these big stages, we used to set that up. So I just want to give a quick little shout out to the housemen because I used to work here for, and they took care of me. It was hard work, especially the midnight shift, but learn from many events sitting in and listening. So just want to extend my appreciation to this building and having me as an employee. For those who don't know me, my name is Dylan White Duck, the proud chief of Kitigan Zibi Anishinaabe. We're an Algonquin community, and our territory spans on both sides of the Kichizibi, also known and referred to as the Ottawa River. Kitigan Zibi Anishinaabe is one of the 11 federally recognized First Nations within the Algonquin territory. We are 4,000 registered community members from Kitigan Zibi, and we're 1,800 living on reserve. Our First Nation is located 130 kilometers north from here, from Ottawa, and we've been occupying these lands since time immemorial. During this week, this pivotal week, we will pass resolutions and move into elections tomorrow. Let us not overlook the importance of fostering understanding and collaboration. We share a collective responsibility to uplift one another and ensuring that the voices of our communities resonate and they're all respected. Let's respect our communities. To our next National Chief, there's 6 running. I implore the values of unity, humility, and workmanship. These are the pillars upon which we can build a stronger and more inclusive future for all First Nations and the Assembly of First Nations. I want to also recognize Canada for taking some steps towards reconciliation. While we acknowledge the imperfections of this country, it remains our duty as First Nations people to uphold this government, future governments, and all administrations accountable now and into the future. There's some facts and some truths in this country, and this is history. It's written, it's documented. This is who we are, and we have this for our future. And let's not forget these essential truths and these facts that First Nations people, we played a crucial role in building this nation, dating back to the fur trade. We stood shoulder to shoulder with Canadians in many pre-Confederation wars and contributing to many victories since then. In all those great world wars and all those wars, we were valued. We were strong, strategic, smart, intelligent people. The treaties, they must be upheld with recognition and honored every day. And the resources, they're continually being extracted from our First Nation territories, yet we only receive meager returns. Today, as we gather here, it is essential to acknowledge the unique challenges our First Nation communities face, especially those experienced by our First Nations people. Today, our communities are facing many challenges, like addictions in our communities. They are stark reminders of the urgent need for health, support, and alternative treatment. We must address these challenges with empathy and seek solutions that prioritize the well-being of our people. In addition to these concerns, we cannot ignore the pressing issue of global warming. The impacts of climate change are felt across the territories, affecting our communities and the environment. As stewards of the lands, we must advocate for sustainable practices and acknowledge in all living things. The loss of our culture and language is a profound concern today for many First Nation communities. As custodians of rich traditions, we must work tirelessly to preserve and revitalize our cultural heritage, our languages, and ensuring that they thrive for the next generations. So we got to do some more work for language and culture. These are just some of the issues that we have to overcome and address to become a healthy nation, healthy people, and to become prosperous. We need to thrive. But every day we grapple with these challenges, seeking support through lobbying efforts. While I acknowledge not every community is facing these same issues, it's imperative that our nations take decisive steps to improve our circumstances today. In closing, I express my gratitude to each one present here today and those with us in spirit. The path to reconciliation will be challenging, but together as First Nations people and a diverse nation, we possess the strength to overcome all these obstacles. And let's build a brighter future for the next 7 generations. On behalf of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe, I extend a warm welcome to everyone here today for the rest of the week, and I hope everyone has a safe travels home. Miigwech Kakana, and thank you all.
Miigwech, thank you very much, Chief Dylan White Duck, Kitagan Zibi, for the welcoming address. At this point, I would like to introduce Ontario Regional Chief to provide territorial welcoming remarks. Ontario Regional Chief Glenn Hare.
Well, the mic's finally here. I was thinking about this a lot last few months, right up to today. Well, Tom, miigwech nga kit. Miigwech kina ibizag action da we mounted ding. Mabage cook masnaga got sock na get miigwech. Wanda ka de gejik. Mnas jabag na section and nem dubjik. Mnas ken dasun remit ujik. Then makunem. Wodish kwang nem dubjik ino kina. Kino gemage gino grau. Kabatin minanga. No minagot shindanani bua. Kina we wabmak. That makunem. Gemak kina go and cheek. Mnas geni wanda gemak shindani garden nem dubjik. Nimna na keen time got kishi time nango shindani shgon pe. Gwen gons na shnabe no zun bumedon. Checking don G. After Bisken done, Mandan keen. Gabish kitton. We not the magia. Me which didn't in them gemark. I want to welcome everyone here to the Algonquin lands and the lands that we traveled and flew over to get here, each and every one of us. I'm glad you got here safely. To the elder, our grandma who opened, to the drummers, our elders in front of us, and our veterans, miigwech. And just as important, or maybe more important, and that's the people I see back there. You are the ones that we are here for, to listen to you. My Anishinaabe name is Gwingos, given by Shike, my elder, who is in the spirit world now. I still listen to him. If you get them kind of feelings, believe them because they are real. The Eagle staff I represent, I carry, responsible for in Ontario. We just had a nice big ceremony for it because it had a rough 2 years. And we did the same for the Eagle staff behind me that belongs in your office at the AFN. We did that couple of days ago on Sunday here. So we're ready to go. And to all the chiefs, and there's new re-elected chiefs, we're at another milestone again. So we're going to elect a national chief. And as my co-chief that opened, yes, unity. We got people, we got our citizens, they've been Dalsajik with us here and on Zoom. If we're going to move forward, we got to do it together. And I'm going to echo, as always, our good friend, Elmer Crochane. If we're going to move forward in a good and strong way, we need our children. We need them alongside us. I share that because I stand before you to the fullest 100%. They are still taking our children away from us. Today, that's the truth, because I just went through hell the last 12 months. I ask you leaders, we established, everyone wanted our own police, and we got them. I asked the police, listen to the chiefs, the people. The frontline workers of social services for our children, please work with us too. Don't listen to the courts or to the Jagnash law, because they are not accepting our law. They don't recognize the law. Keep writing them, and the leader of that law is you, the chiefs. Forward, move forward with common sense. No one will challenge you. If you think, or somebody thinks you're challenging them, put your hand out. They will not cuff you. I don't enjoy doing that, but my God, I'll do anything for anybody's children. I want to say miigwech to all the chiefs. When I first got elected in 1985, I've taken a lot of children home. And I don't need a lawyer either. Water is another one. Fight for our waters. Our women, our grandmothers are fighting it. I hear just not too long ago the other day again, they're trying to find a leak in one of the big waters of oil. They're trying to find a leak. But yet they tell us over here that if we do that, that it will never leak. Never say never. Never say never. My grandmother, yeah, well, her too. She's in the spirit world. But our elder from Chiging, where I'm from, really put something in my head, and I want to share with you. Because I always hear the Jaganash use that phrase. If it's too late, Chief, it's written in stone. Well, our elder, she lived to the great age of 102. Her gravestone of her beloved husband Norman, born passed 1986, I think something. Elizabeth, born 1921, passed 19 blank. Well, she outlived that stone. She died in 2022. Now they got to erase that stone and rewrite it. See? I take that to heart, how hard that means to me, to prove to me and able to share it out loud. If it's written in stone, it can be rewritten. So I leave that much. We got lots of work to do. We're ready to go. And I just want to say, Jimmy, look at the attendance. I haven't seen this for years. For years. Chiefs, Squang them Dubjik. You need Jimmy Gwetch.
Miigwech, merci beaucoup au chef de...
Miigwech, thank you very much to Chief Dylan White Duck for having spoken on behalf of our host nation, the Ketiyan Zibi Anishinaabe Nation. Thank you for these welcoming words to the traditional territory, and thank you to Regional Chief Glenn Hare for his words of welcome to the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Nation. This being said, I would like to invite Joanna Bernard, Interim National Chief, to present her opening address.
Well, thank you. Kwe, greetings. Thank you to all the chiefs, proxies, knowledge keepers, elders, youth, women, veterans, and 2S LGBTQIA+, for opening us up in a good way today, for joining us at this Special Chiefs Assembly. And thank you to Elder Rose, Wawatai Botan, Bodan. Thank you for the opening prayer and opening us up in a good way. I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people territories. And as Interim National Chief, my priority was to uphold the rights, interests, and concerns of First Nations. Following the guidance of the First Nations in Assembly, and the AFN Executive Committee to address the pressing issues facing our communities and to ensure that the voices of our people are heard and respected and represented effectively. Part of this important work includes restoring accountability, transparency, and upholding the values that guide our governance within the AFN. During the annual General Assembly in July 2023, we discussed the need for meaningful dialogue and the renewed commitment and collaboration, unity, and empowerment. The AFN defined the objective my role as Interim National Chief and the priorities of the AFN Executive Committee in order to move forward in a good way. Through significant leadership transitions, we maintained a strong commitment to transparency, accountability, and effective governance. I'm very grateful to the AFN staff for all their support during this time. The combination of work of the AFN Executive Committee, the Interim National Chief's Office, and the AFN staff has led to significant progress, of which I am pleased to provide an update today. Upon taking office in July 2023, we developed a 6-month work plan to address outstanding issues at the AFN and to move forward on key priorities identified by leadership. These priorities include restoring the stability of the AFN, enhancing transparency and governance, and advancing the mandates set by the First Nations and Assembly. Under 2 priority areas, number 1, championing workplace wellness for the AFN staff and the organization, and number 2, advancing the First Nations mandates. We identified focused areas such as updating the AFN policies, implementing the Panel 13 resolution report, and recommendations, among other things. I'm pleased to say that we have made significant progress in implementing the work plan in these key areas. We successfully updated the AFN whistleblower policy, code of conduct, and harassment reporting mechanisms. There is still a lot of work to do, but we've started and we're well on our way. We also established a code of conduct to ensure safety and respect for all attendees, which is evident as you look around the venue. You will find a lot of banners saying zero tolerance. There's also the banners that are up on the floor explaining the code of conduct, and also that everyone in this room, I assumed, has signed their code of conduct form when they registered. Your adherence to the code, which you agreed to prior to the Assembly, is appreciated. Our collective respect for one another and protecting everyone's safety is critical to the work that we do. We are actively working on the report recommendations and seeking feedback from counselors, cultural advisors, and other partners to ensure the effective implementation. We are moving forward on the resolutions and mandates put forth by the First Nations in Assembly. This work includes reviewing the resolutions of 2022 and focusing on those resolutions with limited progress and actioning resolutions passed since. While there's much work to be completed, we are pleased with the progress to date and would like to acknowledge the chiefs, committees, councillors, and the AFN staff for their work. Since July, I've been very deeply involved in discussions across various government departments, ensuring First Nations needs, priorities, and perspectives are integrated into Canada's national policy and actions. I've met with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Minister Gary Anasanagree, Minister Patty Hajdu, Minister Alfred Barani, Minister Mark Holland, to bring forward your priorities, including closing the infrastructure gap, implementing the UNDRA Action Plan, housing, clean drinking water, and enhancing First Nations led health initiatives, among other topics. These meetings highlighted the importance of the whole of government approach to addressing any key issues for First Nations. In October, Minister Patty Hajdu, Minister Barani, and Minister Gary Anasanagree joined the AFN Executive Committee. This was an opportunity for the ministers to hear directly from the regions about the ongoing priorities for First Nation communities. We look forward to continuing to build on this relationship. The Special Chiefs Assembly is an opportunity to reflect on our collective achievements and the progress we've made. It is also a time to reaffirm our shared vision and priorities for the coming year and to direct the work of the AFN Executive Committee, and the National Chief's Office. This year, we will select our new National Chief to lead the AFN and to move forward on the important priorities set by you. The election is an important opportunity to ensure that your voice and the voice of your community are heard and represented. You will select a leader who will advocate for your interest and at the national level, and importantly, will be accountable to you. Building on the strong foundation set by the AFN Executive Committee and the First Nations in Assembly, I am confident that the incoming National Chief will uphold our shared vision and champion stability, transparency, and good governance for the betterment of all our nations, and will embrace the responsibilities of this role. I look forward to welcoming the new National Chief following this week's election. As a reminder, on the evening of December 7th, the AFN will host an annual Winter Gala where you will come together in unity and celebrate the incoming new National Chief. Additionally, on December the 8th, the AFN will host an open house at our new office, and we'll bring in the new year with a fresh start. I'm looking forward to seeing you all at these events. In closing, I want to express my gratitude to each of you for your contributions to the work of the AFN and the Executive Committee. I want to thank the AFN staff for their dedication and commitment to the work in advancing First Nations priorities. I do got to tell you, I'm going to be happy that my emails aren't going to fill up on a Saturday and Sunday night. The staff works tremendously hard, and I've got a lot of emails on the weekends, so just proof of their dedication. I want to thank the First Nations in Assembly for putting their trust in me to lead these last 6 months. A special thanks to Chief Rebecca Knockwood for her support throughout my tenure as Interim National Chief and for stepping up into the role of Proxy Regional Chief for New Brunswick, and for several responsibilities that I held also that she has taken over, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Chief Rebecca. And I also want to thank my chiefs of New Brunswick for allowing me to have this experience. This has been a very congested 6 months. I feel like I got a 4-year education in 6 months. It's a lot of work, and I am anxious to see who our new national chief will be, and I trust that the leadership will choose the appropriate person to move and advocate on your behalf, and I thank you very much. Waliwan, Walawan, thank you. Merci.
Merci beaucoup à la chef nationale.
Thank you very much, Interim National Chief Joanna Bernard, for your opening address. Chimegwich.
National Chief Joanne Bernard. We would now like to proceed with something very special, with the honoring of 2 distinguished First Nations senators. First, Senator Judy White, former AFN CEO. Hello. And Senator Paul Prosper, former Regional Chief of Nova Scotia. And, yeah. And before talking any longer on that, I would like to turn the floor over to National Chief by Interim National Chief. She will explain what is going to happen right now. So over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much again. Kwekwe and greetings. It is with great pleasure that we recognize the 2 newly appointed senators, former Regional Chief of Nova Scotia, Paul Prosper, and the former AFN CEO, Judy White, and the former co-chair of the AFN for many, many years, Michelle Odette, Senator Michelle Odette. Thank you all for being here. Paul Prosper is the Mi'kmaq lawyer with extensive experience in Indigenous legal issues. He's been a lifelong advocate for the rights of Indigenous peoples, including in his role as the chief of the Buckneck First Nation, Mi'kmaq First Nation, and the AFN Regional Chief for Nova Scotia. Senator Judy White is a Mi'kmaq from Flat Bay Band in Newfoundland and Labrador, and is a King's Council lawyer and with an extensive background in human rights, Indigenous governance, and legislative matters. She also served as the CEO of AFN. And Senator Michelle Odette is the former candidate for the Liberal Party, former president of the Quebec Native Women, former commissioner of missing and murdered women and children, and former president of the National Women's Council. The senators have dedicated their lives on advocating on behalf of First Nations and their time in advancing the important priorities set by you, the chiefs. We are very proud of their achievements, and it fills us with pride to see such strong First Nation representation in these roles. On behalf of the AFN Executive Committee, the First Nations and Assembly, we extend our deepest thanks to all the senators for their contributions. We look forward for their ongoing work and continued advocacy for First Nations and all Canadians. Waliwan, Walalan. Thank you. Merci.
Chimigwich, thank you, Interim National Chief. And we would now like to invite our 2 distinguished senators to come up on the stage. So we now have 3 senators to honor this time. So Senator Michelle Odette as well. Thank you so much. And I would now like to ask knowledge keepers and co-chairs, knowledge keepers, co-chairs, Dr. Gwendolyn Point from the BC region and Chuck Hume from Yukon Territory to now blanket and honor our two distinguished senators. So if you can join us on the stage for this honoring. Chimigwich to both knowledge keepers, Dr. Point and Chuck Hume. Thank you very much. And now, Eagle River Singers, can we have the honor song, please? Chimigwich, thank you, Interim National Chief, and thank you to the senators, and Chimigwich to the knowledge keepers, co-chairs, and of course, Chimigwich to the Eagle River Singers. Yeah. Félicitations. Merci beaucoup.
Congratulations, thank you. So,
simultaneous translation headset already, so I'm going to speak in French. Je vais parler en
I'll speak in French rapidly. Before we proceed to the technical and serious things, the adoption of the draft agenda and the rules of procedure for the Special Chief Assembly of December 2023. I would like to remember you, my name is Wee Nasiwi, and introduce myself, Wee Nasiwi. I'm a lawyer. I'm a mediator specialized in Aboriginal right, and I'll be co-chairing this assembly with my colleague Adam Fiddler. I'll be your co-chair, your bilingual one for the French and English.
I'm very honored to be here with you. I'm Wendat and Anishinaabe from Abitibi-Winni First Nation, both located in the Quebec region. And I'm a lawyer, mediator, and a very enthusiastic and optimistic woman, Indigenous woman, and I'm very, very, once again, honored to be here with you. And I'm going to speak both in French and in English as your bilingual co-chair. So it's very important to pick up your translation device, because AFN asked us to make sure that we create this space as a safe space and to be respectful to all the great diversity we have here between our nations and throughout Turtle Island. So we will speak both in French and in English to respect that. And we, of course, also have the simultaneous translation and the sign language, as you can all see. Alors, merci beaucoup d'être avec nous aujourd'hui en personne ou en ligne sur Zoom. Vous êtes tous remerciés. Alors, sur...
Thank you for being with us, and on Zoom, you're all thanked. This being said, I will give the mic to my colleague, Adam Fiddler.
Ego mina chanmach chgadeg miazaki chgadeg wegagi paknamak wegawi mawachit nanung nisgijiga ego mina gawi utapnens kenigani tamagoyak wege chugmakano mamazwe Canada. Ego mina ajge kdian gwa jemnawa gakna bojo gdin nawa migenin is nanachkumian mandon nanachkumak nongumagijgak mijans damog penmdog Janigani tamagoyak we gawi mawachit nanong chui munse gegun goyak jadazan jaganong mishe miigwech and kit. So as Weena indicated, again, my name is Adam Fiddler. I am from Sandy Lake First Nation here in Ontario, Northern Ontario. And it's good to be here to assist in this assembly, to be here with you as co-chair over the next 3 days. Just a reminder, again, I spoke a little bit in my Anishinaabemowin language. Unfortunately, we don't have simultaneous translation for that. But a reminder, this session, the Assembly is bilingual, English and French. Everyone, please pick up a headset. Pick up the headsets in the back corner, to my right, to your left, in the back of the room. There is a headset available. You can listen either in French or English. French is channel 4. If you'd like to listen in English, that is channel 3. So we'd like to get right into business. Before we get into the rules of procedure, we will be requiring a motion to adopt the rules of procedure. Again, we would like to make a very important reminder about the Code of Conduct. So, the Code of Conduct, as you are aware, the Assembly of First Nations is committed to providing a safe, respectful, and welcoming environment for all, regardless of race, religion, gender, age, disability, or any other grounds of discrimination. This Code of Conduct identifies the standard of behavior expected of all event participants, as well as the consequences of unacceptable behavior. It applies to all AFN events and event-related activities. So all event participants, including registrants, speakers, staff, volunteers, observers, guests, media, and all others, are expected to help us maintain a positive environment and experience for everyone. Just a reminder, we were all given a copy of the Code of Conduct. We were all given a sheet to sign and acknowledge that we will abide by the Code of Conduct. I signed that as well as my colleague Weena. We did sign that and hand that in to the registration table. That is a requirement. Also, if you want a copy of that, it is available on the web app. You can access the web app. If you look at your lanyard at the, oh, mine says boom, but at the other side where your name is, there is a QR code. If you just take your camera, point it at that, it will take you to the web app with all of the information required for this assembly, all of the information including the conference booklet, the agenda, resolutions, as well as the Code of Conduct and the Code of Conduct form that was signed and acknowledged by yourself. That is available. So we just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. At this point, we would like to go into the rules of procedure. I'll turn your attention, it is available online, to the conference booklet. I have a hard copy here. Everyone should have received a hard copy of the conference booklet there should have been a little bag that you received on registration. The conference booklet includes the rules of procedure, also the resolution procedures. So we'd like to go into a motion to adopt the rules of procedure. Once you have passed the rules of procedure, that gives us the procedures as co-chairs of this assembly to follow. What I'd like to do is, we don't have time to go, I don't want to get too technical. We don't have time to go through everything in the rules of procedure. It was emailed out. It has been available. The link was available and shared with all chiefs and delegates ahead of time. There have not been any major changes from the very recent assemblies, but I wanted to highlight a few things, 3 things. Number 1, of course, there were changes made fairly recently when the pandemic started to accommodate the fact that we could not meet in person or that we would have hybrid sessions. So there are changes to incorporate the fact that we are meeting here physically in the room, but we will allow for Zoom participation. So we will have delegates, chiefs and proxies online. So just a reminder, there are some changes to reflect that. When we go to making decisions to pass resolutions, we will have voting online. So there is a Zoom online voting platform. Online, you will vote, once we deal with a resolution, you will vote in favor, yes, in opposition, no, or you will abstain. You have one of 3 choices, you click your choice. In the room, we will follow the conventional method. I will canvass the room, of course, ask for any opposition, abstentions. If there are none, resolution will be carried by consensus. Otherwise, we will require a show indicating those in favor. That's the process we'll go through. The second thing in the rules of procedure that I wanted to highlight is quorum, the process for determining quorum. So quorum is determined by 51% of those registered delegates that have registered, picked up your lanyard, and have come into the room, as well as in the room those that have registered and have logged in on Zoom. So we will determine, according to the rules, an hour after the official call to order. So the official call to order this morning was at 11:14. So at 12:14, and the time now is 12:21. So we will have received the number required for quorum. Whatever that number of those that were registered, picked up their lanyards in the meeting area and those online, whatever that number was at 12:14, quorum for today will be 51% of that total. That is the number required to be in the room to make a decision and to have a vote or a decision on any resolutions. Secondary to that, in order for resolutions to carry, any resolutions or decisions, including the election for National Chief, it requires 60%. So there is a requirement of 60%. So the first number is how many we need in the room to make a decision. Secondly, we need 60% of those that vote in order for a resolution or a decision to pass. For that purpose, abstentions don't count. So we need the total of those that voted in favor and opposed to a resolution, and we need 60% to approve for a resolution to carry. So that's the second thing. Third thing, delegates, chiefs, and proxies that I'd like to remind you of is the time requirement. So we have a lot of discussion, a lot of decisions that need to be made, a lot of business that we need to deal with. So there is in the rules of procedure, this has not been changed, this has been there for quite some time, a chief that will introduce a resolution can speak up to 5 minutes. Another chief that would like to speak to a resolution or address an issue has up to 3 minutes. There was a recommendation on the floor several assemblies ago that we have a timer that you can see out of respect so that you know how much time you have, that if time is running out, you see the clock going down, and that is to show respect to you so that you know when your time is up. But also, the time limitations are there to allow other chiefs to be able to speak to issues. So those are three things that I wanted to address in the rules of procedure. So at this point, we do have a motion. If I can have the motion up on the screen, please, and if I can have it on the screen in front of me on the floor. There is a motion. The motion is that the First Nations in Assembly move to adopt the conference booklet, which includes the rules of procedure for the December 2023 AFN Special Chiefs Assembly and the AFN resolutions procedures. So that is the motion. I'm told we do have a mover, who is proxy Leah George Wilson. Okay, thank you. Who is proxy Wilson is at microphone number 1. I'm told we have a seconder, Chief Scott McLeod, who is also present. Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to accept. I do see the mover at the microphone, so if you wish to speak to it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to say that this is fantastic work on the AFN's behalf on working on Panel 13 resolutions, and I'm very happy to see the code of conduct articulated. It's not anything that our elders haven't said to us before, but that it's in writing and in front of everyone is amazing. Thank you.
Miigwech, thank you very much, Proxy, for those comments. Again, the motion is before you. Proxy Regina Crowchild, it looks like. Microphone 1.
That's me. On the 3 minutes, you know, a lot of times we get cut off. So I'm going to ask for a friendly amendment to put it to at least 4 minutes. Because we always get cut off. And we need to give us enough time to explain what our position is.
Thank you very much. So there is a request on the secondary speaker, the time allocation to be increased from 3 minutes to 4 minutes. I will ask the mover and the seconder of the motion. Mover, are you? So the request again is the secondary time allocation for chiefs that normally would have 3 minutes to increase it to 4 minutes. Microphone 1.
Thank you, Proxy Regina. I appreciate your point of view. I understand that people often feel like they're being cut off and they don't have enough time. I would just like us to think about being respectful for the time of the entire assembly, and if there were 5 people speaking to resolution, if the mover and seconder get 5 minutes each and whomever else comes along to when we all queue up, at the mic, we're looking at a lot of time. So I'd like to chat with the seconder because I'm not sure.
Miigwech. So the mover and the seconder of the motion are having a sidebar discussion, I'll call it. Seconder, Ugama McLeod. Oh, back to Proxy Wilson.
Thank you. Just speaking with the seconder, and we'll agree.
Seconder? So you agree to the request? Okay, thank you. So 4 minutes. So the motion has been changed. And so I'm going to have to come up with wording as we go with and we will add with an amendment to increase the, what's it, secondary? The second chief that wishes to address the assembly to be allocated up to 4 minutes. So that's the request. That will be for this assembly. So with that, motion is on the floor. Mover would like to speak again. So just to clarify to the mover, in the rules, as written, it says 5 minutes for the chief to introduce an item, and it is written as 3 minutes for other chiefs to speak to it. So the request is to increase that to 4 minutes.
Thank you. Just wanting to know what quorum is. What's the number? Thanks.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Just wondering what quorum, what the number is?
For today. Thank you.
Yes,
We will clarify quorum count. So I'm going to turn to our staff just to make sure that we get the total registered delegates at 12:14, so that will determine quorum. So the number of delegates that were registered is 304. That includes 110 in person, 21 online. I just want to clarify this is correct. Okay, so at 12:15 p.m., the total registered, I have to correct myself, is 304. So there were 304 registered. Quorum, which is 51%, is 155. So for today, in order for decisions to pass, we need 155. That is the number for today. If you could just bear with us before I complete discussion on the motion. Sweet. Microphone, please. Yes, we are hungry. Thank you, Chief. So let's continue on. Motion is before you with the slate amendment. Any opposition? Any opposition to the motion? I am looking online. I'm sorry, actually, what I'm going to do is have the polls opened online, please. Can I have the polls opened online? Any opposition to the motion? Normally, I do this very quick, but we have to allow for the opportunity for those online. I'm going to close the polls in about 10 seconds. Any opposition? Okay, if I can have the polls closed online, please. Thank you, and if I can get the results. Okay, so we have no opposition online. Any abstentions in the room? Any abstentions in the room? I see none. Thank you. So the motion to adopt the rules as amended to increase 4 minutes or 3 minutes to 4 minutes, that has been passed. Thank you. Next, we'd like to move to the agenda. So we will require a mover and a seconder, who we already have for the agenda. And we'd like to have the agenda up on the screen, please. If we can have a copy of the agenda on the screen, one version in English and one in French. So this is the draft agenda to be as presented for the Special Chiefs Assembly and the National Chief Election, December 5 to 7, 2023. The agenda as follows. At 7 a.m., we do have the sunrise pipe ceremony. We have at 7:30 the regional conference and the registration. Just a reminder, as I'm looking at this, initially the time set for the sunrise pipe ceremony was 7:30. I'd like to remind everyone that it is now going to be at 7 a.m. It was at 7 a.m. this morning. It'll be the same Wednesday and Thursday. 9 a.m. the Circle of Trade is open. That's the Circle of Trade downstairs. Many shows and a lot of booths for you to have a look at. This morning, 10:45 a.m., we had the opening protocols with the grand entry, with the host drum Eagle River, the opening prayer with Algonquin Anishinaabe Elder Rose Wawati Boudouin from Kitigan Zibi and Shinabek. We had the welcoming by host officials, Chief Dylan White Duck and from Kitigan Zibi, as well as Ontario Regional Chief Glenn Hare. We had the Interim National Chief Joanna Bernard address the Assembly, and then we had the special honoring. Next on the agenda, the adoption of the rules of procedure for assemblies, and then the adoption of the agenda. We'll have a lunch break at 12:30. We will reconvene at 1:30. A quick update on resolutions, past resolutions, just to inform you and share the process for updating the Assembly. At 1:45, we will get right into resolutions, decision making. So a reminder, we do need quorum for dealing with the resolutions. Draft resolution number 1, the approval and implementation of a National First Nations Homelessness Action Plan. Draft resolution 2, temporarily suspend proposed distinctions-based Indigenous health legislation process. Draft resolution 3, support for urgent First Nations languages funding. Draft resolution 4, the call for Canada to consult on all amendments pursuant to the UNDRIP Act. And then draft resolution 5 is establishing a Chiefs Committee on the UN Declaration Act. Following that, at 3:30, we'll have a plenary session here in the Assembly Room. A very important update on First Nations Child and Family Services and Jordan's Principal compensation. So that'll take place until 4:30. At 4:30, we will break, and just to let you know, so under the rules that we will be following, because we are incorporating the election for this year, as co-chairs, we will temporarily suspend the chiefs in Assembly for decision-making, and then we will hand it over to the Chief Electoral Officer, who will then start the process for the election. So that starts at 5:30, but we're inviting everyone to come back and be in the room by 5:20, just to go over some housekeeping in terms of process, very important information on how to vote. So be here at 5:20. At 5:30, we'll have the All Candidates Forum, and that'll be led by the Chief Electoral Officer. So that's day 1. If we can scroll down to day 2, please. So day 2, up on your screen, you also have a copy, Wednesday, December the 6th. Again, the sunrise pipe ceremony will take place here in the meeting room at 7 a.m., caucus sessions at 7:30, the Circle of Trade at 9 o'clock. At 8:45, we will have a moment of silence to acknowledge the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. So very important that we be here for 8:45 tomorrow morning. At 9 a.m., the AFN election for National Chief will have opening remarks with the Chief Electoral Officer. Voting will open. Now, as we went through the rules, voting will start at 9 a.m. Eastern and will close at 12 noon Pacific. That is 3 p.m. Eastern. So this will allow and accommodate those that are joining virtually from British Columbia that are 3 hours behind. So that is the process for day 2. 2 p.m. the registration will close for anyone that wishes to vote, as long as you're eligible. At 3 p.m. that will be the end of the ballot voting on day 2. 3:30 we're hoping to have the results of the first ballot voting. We'll take a break, and at 5 p.m. Subsequent ballots may be required. The Chief Electoral Officer will indicate the times as needed for that. immediately after an announcement has been made on a candidate that has been declared the winner and the new national chief, the oath of office and the swearing-in ceremony will take place immediately. Whether that happens late day 2 or into day 3, that is yet to be determined, obviously. The agenda for day 3. If I can have that up on the screen, please. Again, sunrise ceremony, the sunrise pipe ceremony at 7 a.m. 7:30, we'll have regional caucus sessions. Again, Circle of Trade opens at 9 a.m. And at 10:45 a.m. Again, this is going on the understanding that the election will have been completed. If not, the election will continue into day 3. 10:45 a.m. we'll have the opening remarks by the new national chief, and we will have the AFN Council's reports. 11:30 to 4:30, we'll deal with resolutions. So a lot of decisions that need to be made. Again, quorum will be determined that morning to determine what is required for decisions. Resolutions on social, children and families, rights and justice, governance, health, economic development and infrastructure, and then the support resolutions. And then we will close at 4:30 p.m. with closing remarks by the national chief, closing prayer with the Anishinaabe Elder Rose Wawati Baudouin, and then the closing ceremony with the host drum, the Eagle River Drum. They will be back. Just a reminder on a couple of things on the agenda. Again, the Assembly will be suspended for the election. As co-chairs, we will hand it over to the electoral officer. Also, the process for any late resolutions. If you do, there was already a resolution deadline. All resolutions are in your packages. It's in the kits. Any late resolutions that are brought forward, the resolutions team is available. They are here over to my left, on your right. They will only accept any late resolutions by noon on day 2, so that's noon on Wednesday. If you do submit a late resolution, there's no guarantee we'll get to it. We will deal with all on-time resolutions and any emergency resolutions first. So, Chiefs, that is the agenda before you. Again, we have the mover, Proxy Leah George Wilson, who is here, moves, seconded by Ugama Scott McLeod, who is also here. I don't see anybody approaching the microphone, but that is the motion to accept the agenda as presented. I don't see anybody approaching the microphone, so with that, could I have the Zoom polls open, please? This is to accept and adopt the motion to accept the agenda. Polls are opened. Any opposition in the room? Any opposition? See none. Polls are still open. Again, I'll give them about 10 seconds online. Online, if you can vote, please, if you have any opposition, abstentions, or in favor, online. Okay, if I can close the polls, please. Okay, any abstentions in the room? I see none. There's no opposition or abstentions online. So with that, motion is carried. We do have the agenda that we will follow. We will now, any housekeeping matters? I don't think we do. I'll turn it over to Weena very quickly before we take a short break.
Thank you, Adam, and congratulations all to these two motions adopted. I wanted to tell you that draft resolution number 3 has been revised, and hard copies are available at the distribution, and and distribution has new copies for you, and you can review it over lunch, because we will deal with resolutions, draft resolution number 1 to 5 this afternoon when we come back after lunch. So on that, I wish you all a great moment for your lunch, and we'll see you all here at 1:30 Eastern Time. Thank you very, very much. Enjoy your lunch. Bye. Merci. Bon lunch à vous toutes et tous.
Have a good lunch, everyone. We'll see each other at 1:30 for an update on resolutions, and then we will start discussing and possibly adopting 5 draft resolution number 1 to 5. Draft resolution number 5 has been number 3 has been amended, and there are copies on the resolutions table if you want to consult it, and it's available online also on the AFN website. Thank you very much. Have a good lunch.